I'm seeing a lot of these videos pop up about Mexican people not wanting MAGA to visit their country, especially their vacation spots like Cancun and Cabo. MAGA, why do you want to go to a country where the people don't want you? I had a similar experience like this in Cancun, Mexico. I was basically just sitting in the pool, minding my own business, and what do I see? Some stupid lady wearing a MAGA hat in Cancun. Of course, the only thing that came to my mind was, if you hate this country so much, Mexico, and you hate the people of Mexico so much, why are you here? Why are you swimming in their pool, eating their food, enjoying their culture? Why?
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you're watching me from now. MAGA supporters from the US are being kicked out in Mexico now. You might be asking yourself what's really not happening with them being kicked out of Mexico. Now, Mexicans are rejecting MAGA supporters not just because they're Americans, but it is about rejecting disrespect, hypocrisy, and ideologies that they believe are rooted in racism and exclusion. So let's watch this video of them being kicked out, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Mexican immigrations official just deported an American content creator who was a Trump supporter and ironically had this to say about illegal immigration after the presidential elections this year.
I don't know why Latinos are so scared of Donald Trump taking office. What's going to happen is he's going to secure the border and there's probably going to be less immigrants coming in, which is a good thing because that's how the country is supposed to be run. You're going to have to go through a legal process.
So this content creator entered Mexico through a tourist visa, overstated, and was recently deported by Mexican officials because she doesn't have lawful status. Ironically, she's a Trump supporter living in Mexico. Wild. You guys say that you guys need to do it the right way. You mean we need to do it the right way when we try to go up there to migrate for a better life. But you guys don't need to do it the right way when you guys come down here to live and take advantage of the lower cost of living, among many other things, right? That's what I took away from this video. This is no hate to this content creator, but I was kind of shocked to scroll down some of her videos. Initially, I just kind of wanted to understand the process. Like, damn, that's crazy to see the reverse Uno. But honestly, this is something that a lot of Mexicans have been waiting for Mexican officials to start deporting the Americans, Canadians, and foreigners. But a large part of them are Americans that come down here to take advantage of the lower cost of living and to stretch their dollars a little bit further. But they do so by circumventing our immigration processes because a tourist visa is for 6 months only to come and be a tourist. If you come down here on this tourist visa to live and you're working and making income and you're still living on this tourist visa, you are technically not doing it the right way. In her video, she mentioned she was in the process of obtaining dual citizenship, which is great. However, you still have not done it the right way. While you are in the process of getting citizenship or legalizing yourself, you are still technically in Mexico unlawfully, which is why you were just deported. So it's just kind of crazy to see a Trump supporter preach about how this is how it's supposed to happen. You guys should just do it the right way. But when you guys come down here to our country, you guys don't do it the right way either. Food for thought.
Let's listen to this gentleman's message to MAGA to stay out of his country.
Are you a MAGA follower? Please do not come to Mexico. Do not come to Cancun. Do not come to Puerto Vallarta or Acapulco. Stay in the United States. Eat your Taco Bells.
Let's see what else this Mexican gentleman has to say about MAGA visiting his country.
We already know that MAGA people hate Mexicans. We already know that you support Donald Trump, who is a really bad guy for Mexicans. They are putting our people in prisons. They are attacking our people. They are disappearing little children, separating families.
MAGA, what has this gentleman said that isn't true? Everything he said is factual. But yet, you want a vacation to Mexico. Drink your tequila, eat your burritos, enjoy their food, and enjoy their culture. My message and this gentleman's message to MAGA: stay the hell out of Mexico. Have a day.
Breaking news. The president of Mexico has stated that he will begin to deport Americans that have moved to Mexico without proper documentation, aka illegal immigrants. This comes after the president of Mexico states that he is tired of Americans gentrifying cities in Mexico. In the past 3 weeks, we have seen different events where Americans try to colonize beaches, public areas, and even salsa. While a lot of these Americans have moved to Mexico for a better life, they moved there because they cannot afford to live here in the United States. So move to Mexico so they can afford a lifestyle there. But locals have raised their prices because Americans are paying in dollars, while locals that are still shopping have to pay in pesos and now have to pay the equivalent of the dollar. And instead of these people moving to Mexico and bettering the economy, they're making it horrible for the people that live there. You know, the natives. And if you already did not know, the amount of Mexicans migrating to the United States has slowed down by the 100,000 since 2019. The amount of Mexicans living in the United States leaving willingly back to Mexico has increased drastically. And while Mexicans are moving back to Mexico, a lot of Americans have been moving to Mexico for a better life. But my, how the tables have turned. What are your thoughts?
Karma is a bitch, ain't it? Y'all hear what's going on in Mexico right now? It don't get no better. So while liberals in America are saying, Viva la Mexico, and waving the Mexican flags, protesting with illegal immigrants to keep them here, you know what's going on in Mexico right now? The Mexicans are protesting, holding up their signs saying, hey, gringo, get the fuck out of here, SA. Get the fuck out of Mexico, puto. The Mexicans are kicking white liberals out of Mexico, while the ones here are protesting to keep Mexicans here. What the fuck? So the reason for this is liberal Americans fuck America up, fuck their beautiful California up and their fucked up blue cities, and then they dip out, sell their shit, move to Mexico, right, to live cheaper. Yet, they get all the high-paying jobs in Mexico, according to the Mexicans. So they move in, everything goes up because of the high traffic of foreign people, and then they go there with their fucking United States American entitlement for the liberals. They go to Rome and do what liberal Americans do. Because they don't know, when you're in Rome, you do as the fucking Romans do. So they go to Mexico with their entitlement, right? And then they work from home, work on their computer, and then they live this lavish lifestyle. Because when you go there with your United States dollar, you can buy a fucking mansion for pennies on the dollar. So now because of that, everything, all the prices are going up, cost of living is going up. They're over there fucking up Mexico, and the Mexicans have had enough. So they're over here trying to say, Viva la Mexico, and then Mexicans are over there saying, get the fuck out of here, puto. Go back to America, go fight in America. We don't want you here. Hell yeah. The only thing they need to realize is, here, they'll just talk. But in Mexico, the Mexicans will actually make them disappear. So they're gonna fuck around and find out. So let's get ready for them fucking liberals to march back here in droves, because the Mexicans are kicking their asses out of Mexico. And that's just news for you.
You know, the irony that Mexican citizens in Mexico City are protesting American presence in their country. What in the uno reverso? Listen, that's what happens. Don't you think that the timing of it is just ironic? You know, America starts kicking all of the Mexicans out, and then Mexicans are like, no. We want you out of here too, because you're gentrifying our city. And I love that. Because, yeah, you want the benefit. Because believe it or not, a lot of Americans actually live in Mexico illegally. I know, it's crazy. Wow. And so, no, they want tougher legislation on it. And yeah, they're pissed. And I love that for them. So, you fuck around and you find out, you know? So, yeah, who would have thought?
What a beautiful morning. So grateful that Trump got in office. Life is going to be so much easier again. A few moments later.
So I just got the quote from the dentist in Mexico I've been looking to go see because, no offense to my current dentist in the United States, I love him. He does a really great job, and I wish I could go to him. I just can't afford dental care in the United States.
Own the libs. Are you winning yet? No, because you played yourself. These are the females who lack the spine and the courage to step into a private voting booth and vote to safeguard their own rights as women. They're so weak that they actively participate in their own downfall, allowing men to use them as tools to strip away their own rights and help strip away the rights of us all as women. This is what happens when you're gullible enough to fall for the conservative patriarchal illusion of a traditional family, where the man is supposed to be the leader, but in reality, that so-called provider is a failure, leaving you, his wife, so financially helpless that you are forced to rely on the very people that y'all demonize and cheer to be deported just to survive. Now look at you crossing the border into Mexico. Yes, the same Mexico you clutch your pearls over just to be able to afford health care. You're out here bragging about voting for Trump, yet you can't even afford to put America first under Trump. You're out here fighting for white supremacy, but white supremacy ain't fighting for you. Make it make sense. And the best part, this is just a warm-up, so buckle up because the real struggle hasn't even started yet.
So Trump supporters that have flipped don't get a pass from me. And I know that's not a popular opinion. A lot of people want to forgive and forget. I see all sorts of fuck around and find out videos being posted where people are explaining how they found out and they're being embraced. And now they want to have open dialogue with everybody. So while I respect people that want to embrace them, and I'm not going to give you a hard time, I am not one of those fucking people. Because every single one of those fuck around and find out videos where people are converting and leaving MAGA has to do with them personally feeling the results of their vote. In other words, until it affected them personally, they were ready to vote for Trump. You see where I'm going here? Zero empathy for people around them unless it affected them. Yeah, so they can just eat a dick. Where's the accountability? At some point, a motherfucker has to suffer for making the mistakes that they made, don't they? How are they ever going to learn their fucking lesson if they were like, oh, well, you know, hey, I burned down the country with my vote, but, oh, that's okay. Man, fuck you. There's this one farm dude out there posting all sorts of shit and getting a lot of traction, right? Because he found out, he signed up for some big federal program that he wanted to participate in. And in order to do that, he had to invest and spend all sorts of money to get his farm ready to do whatever the fuck they wanted him to do. And then Trump goes and rips this shit out from under him. And now he's like, what the fuck, right? I voted for Trump. I didn't know. The thing is right now he wants to have open dialogue with people. And when people come to him and say, well, you should have known, he's like, well, I'm out of the country. We don't see the news. And anytime I saw social media, which I never do, all I see is right saying left and left saying right and everyone arguing. How am I supposed to know? I'm a farmer. I'm not a political scientist. But then out the other side of his mouth, now he wants to have an open dialogue. So he criticizes anyone questioning his fucking decision, but he wants to have an open dialogue now. Anybody that wants to talk about this and what it merely means, let's have that chat. But if all you're going to do is attack me, you can move on. Motherfucker, fuck you. Because the only reason now you give a shit and now you want to have open dialogue is because it affects you personally. You could have fucking had all this open dialogue before you fucking cast your vote like an idiot. And you only give a shit because you were affected. The whole fucking current country is burning around you. Marginalized people are being attacked. And we're supposed to give a fuck about you because you were affected in your fucking farm? No, you vote for Trump? Fuck you. We don't need your ass. Personally, I'm going after the 88 million people that didn't vote, and I'm rallying the troops around the fucking common enemy that is that. Now in the future, after you've repented and maybe spent the fucking next 10 years groveling, asking for forgiveness and doing everything you can to support marginalized communities, maybe then we'll think about forgiving your stupid ass. In the meantime,
fuck these Nazi pricks. Who the fuck do they think they are?
I was definitely all for Make America Great Again and having a strong, unified country and a bright future for my 5 American children. But now I feel a little differently. I'm a legal resident green card holder. I have been since 1981.
Chris Landry has lived in New Hampshire since he was 3 years old. He has a partner, 5 children, and a job in manufacturing. He was stopped at the border in Holton, Maine on Sunday while returning from a family vacation to Canada.
they pulled me aside and started questioning me about my past convictions in New Hampshire.
3 hours later, the 46-year-old was told he couldn't come home despite having a green card and being a legal U.S. resident. He spoke to us from New Brunswick, Canada.
They denied me re-entry and said, don't come back or we will detain you. And the only way for me to get back in was to see an immigration judge.
In 2004 and 2007, Landry faced charges of marijuana possession and driving with a suspended license, but says he's had no criminal record since. He was given a suspended sentence and paid his fines.
So I never thought that would threaten my status as a resident of the United States.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection telling us in a statement, possessing a green card is a privilege, not a right, and under our nation's laws, our government has the authority to revoke a green card if our laws are broken and abused. Lawful permanent residents presenting at a U.S. port of entry with previous criminal convictions may be subject to mandatory detention and or may be asked to provide additional documentation to be set up for an immigration hearing.
Just very uncertain for me right now. I might end up spending the rest of my life in Canada, and who knows if I'll ever even have the right to re-enter the United States at this point.
So this Latina, who is a Trump supporter, got deported from Mexico back to the US, and I want to use this video to show y'all, no matter how hard you try, you will never be white. And I say that because she made videos going, oh, look, people are making too big of a deal about Trump and the deportations. He's only going after criminals. If you want to be here, you should do it the right way. Then she goes to Mexico, gets stopped by authorities while she's coming back from a concert. They check her papers and then they deport her. Now, they deported her because she overstayed her visa. I know some people are like, well, you should have done it the right way. Calm down. Let's just give her a little grace here. She's not a criminal. Sure, she has ideologies you don't agree with, but she wasn't committing any crimes. She was down in Mexico partying it up. Now, this is where the you'll never be white part comes in. There's over 1 million undocumented white people living in Mexico. They are taking advantage of the system. They're not paying taxes. They're down there just partying it up. And like advocates in Mexico have been saying, that authorities don't go after white people, they actually go after brown people. So you were racially profiled in a country that you were trying to get dual citizenship for. So if you were racially profiled in Mexico, what do you think is going to happen to you in the US when Trump comes into office? Because there are at least 500,000 white people undocumented in the US, and they're never bothered. Because I need you to remember that the immigration system was never set up to hurt white people. It was set up to hurt people of color globally. Our movements are constantly restricted, while white people are never bothered when they do the same thing we do. So as much as you say, oh, well, if you want to come to this country, you have to do it the right way. It is not about doing it the right way. It is always, the immigration system has always been about hurting black and brown people, no matter where we are in the world. So please keep thinking how you're safe now that you're in the US, back in your home country. They don't see you as a US citizen either. They want to take away your citizenship. They want to denaturalize people. So please, let's get rid of that colonized mind, because this immigration system was never made for us.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, a lot of our MAGA supporters are now fleeing Mexico after going there as tourists. Now, things are not going well for them because we all know whatever Donald Trump's policies are on immigrants. And a lot of them are finding really hard to stay in Mexico and many other parts of the world, which Donald Trump himself does not associate well with them. Now, we know many MAGA supporters are seen as aligned to Donald Trump's anti-Mexican language. Now, especially from his 2024 campaign. Now, phrases like they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they are, And this is not sitting well with most of these Mexicans. Now, he promised to build a wall to keep Mexicans out of the US, and he even made accusations that Mexico is not sending their best to the US, that they are sending criminals, they are sending the worst people, and this has not sat well with most of Mexicans, and this is why we are seeing most of them actually coming out to kick out the MAGA supporters who are going to Mexico as tourists. They're telling them, you know what, your president has been saying some bad things about us, and he has been saying that we're bringing crime to you. How will you come to a country where you believe that criminals come from? Why do you come to a country where you believe that drug lords come from? Where do you come to a country that you want to build a wall to prevent us from coming to a country? Now, if this is whatever is happening, now you get the point why most of the Mexicans are not in support of MAGA supporters going to Mexico as tourists. And as for these comments, there are very deep resentment in Mexico as they portray Mexicans as criminals and scapegoats, that is not a very good word to use to people of a neighboring country. There are more good language or cautious language you can use. And when you are very, very brutal, and when you are very bare on how you're talking, then that can bring a problem with even your supporters going to another country, because people now believe that MAGA supporters are seen as aligned to Donald Trump's anti-Mexican language or sentiments. And this is not a very good thing to all those who want to move from the US going to Mexico, because most of these people are now believing that, you believed in this man, you believed in his policies, then you believed in all whatever he said about us, calling us illegal immigrants, aliens, and all this other stuff. So why are you coming back to our country? Now, it is for these reasons we are seeing most of the MAGA supporters making videos crying out on TikTok that Mexicans are not welcoming, Mexicans are not that good. And, they're getting a comeback from many other sources, from many other people who didn't believe or who had no clear trust with Donald Trump's policies. Now, the MAGA movement aggressively promoted building a wall along the US-Mexico border. We all know that. And to many Mexicans, the wall isn't just a border or security. It symbolizes rejection, exclusion, and racial division. Tourists wearing MAGA hats or slogans are often viewed as supporting that division or supporting those policies by Donald Trump's government. And as for this, even when traveling to enjoy Mexican culture can be so difficult for them, because how do you enjoy a culture that you are really fighting? You are really fighting to exclude us from the world or from your people. You're trying to reject us, and you're trying to create a racial division between the two countries. And so MAGA supporters are really finding it very hard moving around the countries that neighbor the US because of whatever is going by the ICE team, and many people are being kicked out of their houses. Many Mexicans are finding it hard because some of them have been given that name, that they're drug lords. This is not a very, very good thing that you might want to see in the near future. Now, many Mexicans are calling out the MAGA supporters for hypocrisy. Now, visiting their culture you degrade is very hypocritical. Now, many Mexicans see it as very hypocritical when MAGA-aligned Americans visit Mexico for vacations, and the family separation policies at the US-Mexico border. This is really affecting, these actions have affected real families. When you are picked from your children, then you are being deported, or you are being taken to Guatemala, or you are being taken to all these other countries like El Salvador, the secret, the biggest prison in the world, maybe for accusations that maybe have not been proven by the court of law. You're being separated from your people. You're being separated from the world. And when this happens and the people in Mexico see this, they are not happy with the people who voted the government that is doing this to their people. So you can't just imagine you going to Mexico and it is all well. You might have voted the Donald Trump's administration, maybe hoping for a better country, hoping to make America great. But when it ends up that it is affecting others, this doesn't sit well with most of the Mexicans, because if you're trying to bring a border, that symbolizes that you're trying to exclude them. And this is very hypocritical, because you're visiting the cultures that you're degrading. And there is also, when you're trying to separate them on the basis of taking back them where they come from, then you leave the children alone, then you take their parents. That's not sitting well as well. Now we have the anti-migration policy supported by MAGA, and MAGA supporters largely supported the strict immigration enforcement, including deportations and family separation policies at the Mexican border. And these actions have actually affected real families. Many with relatives on both sides of the border are not seeing this as a very good thing, because this is bringing trauma which resonates deeply across the Mexicans back in their country. And this leads to resentment towards the backing of such policies. Now, if you supported immigration, deportations by the ICE team, now the people who are watching news on CNN, on BBC, seeing all these things happening, are not very happy with those who voted the regime and those who supported such policies, And such policies as the strict immigration enforcement by the ICE is seeing many people on the edge, many people going homeless, many people going without food, many people being forced out. A lot of human rights are being broken by the ICE team. And for this one reason, those at home in Mexico will not welcome you, because they know this is not a very good thing, because you are going to their country of which you degrade, of which you don't want their people. Then how do you want them to receive you after all voting these things that is happening to them back in the US? Now, we also have disrespectful tourist behavior by the MAGAs. You can't respect someone, then expect them to treat you with dignity or respect. Most of the time they say respect is a two-way traffic, like you do it, I'll do it to you. And some MAGA-aligned tourists are perceived as arrogant, entitled, or cultural insensitive. And when visiting Mexico, for example, speaking no Spanish, degrading local customs, and expecting US level privilege, some people, expect that they get the same privileges they get in the US, or they be treated with some class because they come from the US. This is not sitting well with most of the people in Mexico, and as for this, it leaves a bad impression in the local communities that these people are trying to disgrade us. They are trying to behave like they are superior, and just whatever happens, some people get really not good. They are very, very annoyed, and for as a matter of this, they try to treat you so bad they can retaliate the same feeling they feel. Now, you can disrespect the locals and expect them to treat you well. That's very, very making sense. Like when you're treated bad, or when you treat bad people in your country, or when you support policies that affect them in a way, they will try to retaliate when you are in their country, or when your people visit their country. And this is a way two-way traffic, just like I say that you do this and I'll do that, I'll retaliate. Now, online attitudes and racism, you know, that most people online have been going after the Mexicans who are living in the US, calling them illegal migrants, calling them aliens. And Mexicans have seen countless online posts, memes and videos from MAGA supporters mocking Mexican accent, culture, or food, even promoting a sense of American superiority. Now, these digital footprints have long-lasting consequences, you know. Locals remember these attitudes even when tourists arrive smiling, and they will always put that face that makes you now know that you are in a place that most people don't like you because of whatever you've been doing, because of whatever you've been talking online. And this other stuff, these stuffs do not go well with most people. Now there is a sense of rising national pride in Mexico, that Mexico are undergoing a cultural political awakening, especially among younger generations. There is an increasing resistance to foreign disrespect, with a push to preserve Mexican dignity, sovereignty, and pride. And rejecting MAGA tourists can be seen as a stand against racism, imperialism, and hypocrisy. Now, we all know that the Gen Z are now rising above the bar, that they do not take disrespect in their countries. They are not trying to buy they are trying to buy dignity, sovereignty. They are trying to preserve that with a lot of pride, because they are coming from Mexico. You can't disrespect their culture, their food, their dressing, their country. You know, they do not want hypocrisy in their country. So most of them believe that those who supported the regime that is against them walks around with so much hypocrisy. Now, there is social Medicare campaigns and collective awareness. Now, influencers, journalists, and activists in Mexico have begun calling out MAGA supporters who come to vacation while backing racist policies. Yes. Now, this has led to localized movements and viral campaigns encouraging businesses and communities to know who you are serving. Take a stance against you. This is happening with the Gen Z. This is happening with the local groups of activists and journalists who are trying to enlighten their people that you should not buy this hypocrisy, that you should not buy this sense of being abused online, that you should not buy all this disrespect. Rather, preserve your culture, dignity, sovereignty, and pride, and stand against racism. You know, those are big words, and a lot of things is happening in Mexico right now. Now, Mexicans rejecting MAGA supporters is not just about Americans. It's about rejecting disrespect, hypocrisy, and ideologies that are rooted back in racism and exclusion. Now, tourists are welcome, but not when they bring political baggage that devalues Mexican lives, culture, or dignity. This is what I've been saying, that not all MAGA supporters are bad. You know, that's a disclaimer, that not all of them are bad. MAGA supporters are good, but some of them have gone ahead to discredit, disrespect, and have a lot of hypocrisy, and try to act superior on Mexicans, and this is not sitting well with most of them. Thank you so much. Let me know whatever you think of the video. See you in our next episode.